8:54 at WIBX, joined in studio by State Senator Joe Griffo, Assemblyman Anthony Brindisi, talking about passage of the New York State budget. All right, guys, we touched on $15 an hour. The increase in funding for both Utica and Rome, $8 million for Utica for the school, for schools, I should say, $3 million in Rome. We talked about hospital funding. This $300 million will cover half or more than half of a new hospital for the city of Utica. One of the things that we've talked about for a few years now, in fact, I was going through an old drawer over the weekend, and I found a press release from 2010 from then Assemblywoman Roanne DeStito talking about Marcy Nano and the Nano Project. This is going to be a huge thing for our area. We just can't wait for it to get here. We're now in the second quarter of 2016. Let's talk a bit about Nano. I know Nano was a part of this budget that the governor is going to be signing.
This was a huge win in this budget in terms of securing the funding to build the AMS chip fabrication facility in Marcy. The governor was here back on August 20th of last year, announcing that AMS, the Austrian company, was coming to Marcy to build a chip fabrication facility, which is a great win for our area. As part of that, we had to work very hard to secure the funding to get that place built, and there's been a lot of work that's going on right now with EDGE, trying to clear the land and make it ready for the construction. So in this budget, you have $585 million, which is earmarked for the construction of that facility, and then there's another $50 million on top of that that's for the completion of the Quad C, which is on the SUNY Poly campus. That's the building where GE is going to be going. So this is, Senator Griffo was talking off the air about the amount of funding that's coming to our region. And they talk about the Buffalo billion, but we're looking at probably something like the Utica-Rome billion or the Mohawk Valley billion, because we certainly did a good job in this budget bringing funds into our area to help make these projects a reality.
Absolutely. Talking about AMS, of course, this funding would build the facility that they would operate in. So that's not going to be 6 weeks, 2 months.
No.
It's not going to be a quick turnaround. That's maybe more of a 2017 if we're looking at jobs?
I would think, well, I would say that it's probably going to be a 2-year process to build the actual facility. So you're probably looking down the road, maybe 2018, 2019, to start staffing it up. It's not an easy process, and that's the thing people say to me all the time. Well, is it coming? Is it not coming? We've been hearing about this for a long time, and it has taken a long time. But I always say that I lived in that Albany area, went to college there and law school during the whole buildup of nanotechnology in the capital region, and it took a long time there, and there were a lot of naysayers there. But it's certainly done a lot of good along that Northway corridor, going all the way up to Saratoga County, and the development, the economic development that's happened in that region.
So AMS is further down the road. What about GE, though? Because if I know there's buildings, newer buildings up on the SUNY IT campus, would they be moving into those? I know you mentioned Quad C. Do we know about GE, about how close that could be? That's sooner, right, than the AMS? That's
sooner because that building, the Quad C building, is actually constructed right now. I don't have an exact timeline of when GE will be in there and start hiring, but I know that there's tooling that has to go into that building, which is part of this funding that was secured in this budget to help outfit that building and complete the tooling that has to go into that facility. So I hope over the course of the next year you'll start seeing some information about hiring for GE employees to be able to work at that facility as well. And then there's other companies that are also going to be going into that building, which are yet to be talked about.
Anything to add to that, Senator Griffo?
No, I think this is a significant amount of investment. It shows that we continue to move forward. Obviously, it's a slow process, as the Assemblyman indicated, and it's somewhat frustrating from time to time, but we're moving in the right direction. The Quad C project should hopefully this year begin to see the activity and the movement that a lot are anticipating. And then the AMS project, not only once we build that, it's going to take a few years, but this is also going to become a lure for other potential companies too. I know Mohawk Valley Edge is already engaged because we've always talked about how it could support an additional facility or two actually in that whole area that we've identified in Marcy. So as we move forward, this could actually position us to take advantage of further and future opportunities also.
All right, we talked about the money coming in locally. A great job on the budget, guys, because Utica, Rome, and the Mohawk Valley really is benefiting from this state budget. I just want to mention as well another fight, but a victorious one, that MMA was part of this as well. Legalization of MMA is, although my terminology is not correct. Do I have that right?
No, you do. We have, in fact, the New York State Athletic Commission will begin now to have the responsibility of regulating the mixed martial arts in the state of New York. It's an effective date 120 days after Governor signs it. I anticipate that he will sign this in the next week or two. It'll probably be a ceremonial signing done. And you will have events. Probably the first event will take place in Madison Square Garden as the mecca of all sports.
Sure.
But you will see events across upstate New York. And I have been told by the CEO of the UFC that it's not if it will come to Utica, but when it comes to Utica. And I know Rob Esch has been on top of that too. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Are you fighting in that match, Joe? Joe's on the undercard for that one.
I just got to figure out who, though.
He's challenging a couple members of my conference who were against MMA.
Andrew, 30 seconds.
Before we go off, too, I want to promote the Assemblyman. You're going to be at the JCC tonight, 6:30 in Utica, to talk about your recent trip to Israel. And really quick, also, a timeline on the hospital. I know did we touch on that yet?
5 years. I think they have to build a new hospital from scratch. I would imagine 5 years at least.
I think the hospital's going to be out with some information pretty soon on what their timeline is going forward. It's going to take at least 5 years from start to finish. Thank you for talking about that tonight. We'll be at the JCC at 6:30. I'm giving a brief presentation about the trip I took to Israel and doing a little slideshow about some of the places we visited, some of the people we talked to. It was very interesting for me and wanted to be able to share that with the community.
Thank you both. We are out of time. WIBX 950, Utica, Rome.